Now that we've implemented Active Directory on this Server 2003 machine, it's time to just take a look at some of the different things that have been done, some of the changes that have been made specifically to DNS. Let's look through our Start menu now at the DNS console again. And now on the server for lookup zones, primary.net, no information changes because this is a secondary zone, and the information that we get from the secondary zone has been gotten from a primary server or a master server. But however, there are lots of records, and I think if you're listening to this right after the last module, I think I said files at the very end of the chapter. What are added are records as well as subdomains. But this is what I meant. You have to know what I mean, not what I say, of course. It's just what I tell people in a live class. But in beanlink.org now that we have Active Directory, these and the fact that we've allowed dynamic updates, Active Directory has created these additional domains. And in these domains, like this one, we have SRV records. So these are the records that clients are looking for when they're looking for security services and LDAP services, Lightweight Directory Access Protocol services. And here's the location of those kinds of services. All of these are critical, all these subdomains are critical to the operation of an Active Directory domain. Other than that, the contents look the same. Also, now that we've implemented Active Directory, we will be able to look at the properties of the zone and make some changes that we weren't able to before. For example, the type of zone, we set up a standard primary zone. Now we can change it from a zone type of primary to Active Directory zone. We can also change it from a primary to a secondary if we want to, but now we have this option available, which we didn't before. We want this zone to become Active Directory integrated? Yes. Click on Apply. And now that we've changed the zone type to Active Directory integrated, look at the kind of dynamic updates that are available now. None, non-secure and secure, or secure only. When we configure our zone to only allow secure updates, what we're saying is that only members of the domain, by default, have the ability to update this zone information. What's also available when you implement an Active Directory integrated zone is that you now have better control over replication. Or not better, just different control. When you implemented a primary and secondary zones, you were controlling replication through the Zone Transfers tab. And just simply by configuring what were your primary servers and what were your secondary servers, or what those secondary servers' master servers were. Active Directory gives you a little bit more flexibility. And what's nice is that you don't have to configure a separate replication topology. The replication topology that's used is the same one that's used by Active Directory. Click on the change, and here's the zone replication scope. By default, the zone information is replicated to all domain controllers in the domain, probably what you're going to keep, but you can also replicate that information to all DNS servers in the forest or to all DNS servers only, not just to domain controllers, but to just the DNS servers. So this is the default information that is replicated, and this is how you govern Active Directory integrated replication, and it's something where you don't have to have a separate replication topology. Now, also that I've clicked on OK, you can also look at the properties of the zone file. And now that I've applied secure-only updates, you can govern who's able to do the updates through the Security tab. And again, this is not something you typically have to manage because authenticated users have the ability to create child objects, and that's the only ability that an authenticated user would really need. If they're authenticated in the domain, they're able to add a resource record to the DNS zone file, which actually isn't technically a zone file at this point because it's Active Directory integrated. The Everyone group does not have this ability. So untrusted sources will not have the ability to add a resource record about themselves to your DNS zone.